New patches out for Gray Zone Warfare 0.3.20. If you've been following my stream and channel, you know that I have been playing quite a bit of Gray Zone Warfare, and I had some gripes. And some of these gripes were addressed in this patch. This patch came out on the 18th. This video is being recorded a little bit late, 26th of June. It came out on the 18th. And some of the things in here I want to kind of touch on, which I think should be noted. The first thing is this patch adds a minimum contrast value that can be adjusted to prevent exploits during nighttime gameplay. What people were doing during the nighttime raids were they were reducing the contrast to its lowest value, thereby making the game look like it was daytime, but it was actually nighttime. So a lot of PvPers and even PvEers and people who are like immersed in the game wanted this address. They wanted some limitations put on this so that people couldn't make the game look like daytime when it's night. So what the devs have done is that they've put a minimum contrast value, and it makes the game brighter for people who have like eyesight issues or accessibility issues, but it doesn't necessarily turn the game into daytime. Personally, after looking at it, I think it looks a little bit bright still. And I think it to be adjusted a little bit more, but I think this is a good first step. One of the things that the game did in the previous patch before this one is that they updated the night vision goggles so that they can be a little bit more useful. And they want to encourage players to use the night vision goggles during night. And that prompted me to learn them. If you go and check out my video on night vision, we did a whole segment, a whole video on my first time with night vision. It had its challenges, but I eventually figured it out. Now I use night vision exclusively at night. I don't even bother with contrast. I think my contrast is actually pretty low now. So my nights look very, very pitch black. So this is a welcome change. Hopefully they'll reduce it a little bit more. I think it'll make the game fairer. But to be realistic, let's be honest, people are going to use NVIDIA driver stuff. They're going to adjust gamma with their monitor. They're going to do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I think the point that the players and the community was making is that they should make this contrast value in-game, not promote that gameplay type of behavior. So they're doing that. The next thing is that they're adding an option to disable illumination on selected scopes. Some of the scopes have a little bit, they have a reticule on it, and you can turn that on and off with a little switch. The scope that I use, which is the Spectre, it does it, but I think it goes from black to red. I forgot what the colors are. It's something that I'm not going to use, but it's a nice quality of life change for people who want to have that change color depending on what they're looking at. If they're looking at something bright, they may want to have the reticle darker. If they're looking at something vice versa. I'm not going to say it again, but you get the idea. So you can illuminate these things on your scopes. The next thing is that they affect the fog and raindrops on night vision goggles, scopes, and collimators. Did that 10 times fast. Collimators was reduced to increase visibility. I noticed this the other day when I was playing. It's a very good change because before it looked like, and I said this on stream, when you were playing in the rain, it looked like somebody was just in front of you pouring a glass of water on you all the time. It was just constant drops of water over your night vision goggles, over your scopes and everything, and it was completely distracting. So what they've done is I can tell that they've added an algorithm to it to where it looks like the center of the scope has a lesser priority for raindrops to form there. So you can see a lot of raindrops around the edge, and then occasionally some raindrops would come in the center of the scope, but not as much as before, thereby giving you more visibility, but maintaining some readability and realistic behavior. So that's a good change. Probably one of my favorite changes right there, because the rain made it miserable. Let me tell you, if you scoped in rain, you'd see this giant drop of water right in the middle, and you can't see nothing. So they adjusted that. Next thing is, and these are not all the things. These are just things that I think are notable. The conflict zone diameter has been increased to 300 meters. Now, what is the conflict zone diameter? That is when you're on a PvP server and there's an encounter with the enemy faction, which happens to be another player. If that happens, and I think the rules are if there's suppression fire between two enemy factions, the mini-map updates for everybody, letting the whole server know that there's a PvP battle going on this sector. So everybody instantly knows where PvP is. The problem is that players complained that the circle was too granular. So people can immediately run to that circle and basically take out the enemy. It was too small. So this increases the diameter to 300 meters, making it a much wider zone so that people can tactically come in, retreat, or do all types of stuff and not be forced to a tiny circle because it was really, really small before. And if you walked in that circle, you probably could see the enemy. So this is a good change for PvP and for some fair gameplay. Now, the next thing is vomiting no longer interrupts healing animations. Ew, brother. Yeah, vomiting. What could happen in the game is that if you got shot in the stomach, it can make you nauseous and it can make you vomit. And if you're in the middle of healing something or applying a bandage or a tourniquet or a splint, or you performing a surgery with a circuit, it would interrupt the animation. So you would do all this stuff. You'd be like at a 15-second animation, be at the very end, and your character would vomit and it would interrupt it, and it was really, really bad. So now they were like, all right, that's a little bit too harsh. So they took that away. Thank you, because it happened to me twice and I hated it with a passion. So that's a nice change. Gray hair. Gray hair on low graphic presets no longer appears excessively shiny in the 3D character preview. I noticed this prior to the patch. It was annoying. I got over it. I got used to it. But it looked like your character had like snow on his beard. It was like the graphics weren't rendering correctly. And the hair was like, had a shimmer to it. And it looked really bad. So they fixed that. That's a good one. I like that too. Now this next one is probably one of the biggest ones other than the rain. Undelivered Twitch drops will now be processed more regularly, potentially decreasing the time taken to appear in the messenger. Okay. They had a ton of Twitch drops. If you don't know what Twitch drops are, you watch a Twitch streamer playing Gray Zone Warfare for a certain amount of time, and then you get gear. They call them drops because you watch and you get gear. It wasn't working for almost everyone. The devs admitted during their live patch overview that the overwhelming player response was well beyond their purview, well beyond what they expected. That's always the excuse. We didn't expect all you people to watch because it was a big success. It's a good problem to have. But Twitch drops were not working. You would get the drops, you would claim the drops, and nothing would come in game. As of today, and this patch has been out 8 days, I still haven't got my drops. So I've reconnected my Twitch account. They said that they fixed that problem before. If you reconnected your Twitch account, it did nothing. So now on the Gray Zone site, you can reconnect your Twitch account, and apparently it will work, but they said it will take time for the drops to come through. It's been 8 days for me. I haven't got my drops, not a single one. And I have pretty much watched for all the drops. So I'm eagerly anticipating this because one of the drops is a flannel shirt. It's cosmetic. I really want it. All the other drops are like expendables, like bandages and whatnot. I don't really care about that as much, but I want the cosmetic. I want the flannel shirt. And yeah, can't have it. And the last one is that circuit animations were refined to have uniform length. The camera shake was reduced. Circuits are the surgery kits, right? And the difference was that there was a 3-charge surgery kit and there was a 5-charge surgery kit. The 3-charge was fast, so that the time to animate and do surgery on yourself was quicker than the 5-charge animation, which made no sense. The 5-charge one was clearly a better surgery kit. It costed more, but it took longer. So as a result, nobody hardly used the 5-charge one, and the 3 kit was used more. So what they did was that they unified it. So all the surgery animations are the same amount of time as they should be. And if you buy the 5-charge, you're going to be getting what you pay for. So those are my highlights of all the changes in the Gray Zone 0.320 patch. So far, it's a good patch. The hotfix, I don't know if the hotfix is out yet. There's a hotfix plan to fix some issues. And the Gray Zone Warfare development effort continues, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. Guys, I'll put the link in the show description. You can check it out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the patch if you're having some issues. Did you get your Twitch drops? Let me know in the comments. All right, I'll see you in the next one.